So here's the dealio. We're sexual from the get-go. Like it is part of who we are. And baby boys figure out it feels, they hang on to their tallywhacker like in utero, and they figure out really quickly that it feels good to touch their penis, right? Girls or things are a little heightier, so it's kind of hard to get in down there, but they do too. And so those parts of our bodies are wired up for pleasure from the beginning. But childhood, like young childhood sexuality, looks very different than teenager sexuality. There aren't any hormones engaged. So with young kids, what we expect is, and this is considered typical, it's considered common. These behaviors are worldwide. Like every kiddo usually kind of goes through these phases. So lots of curiosity about who's got what in the privates department, right? Looking, sometimes touching, because remember, we're 4, right? If you put your 4-year-old hat on and somebody's got this thing hanging off the front of them and you don't have one, you're gonna be like, hi, dude, can I touch that? And they're gonna be like, sure, why not? Because they don't know, right, that there's anything bad or embarrassing or like not okay about that. So we see that. We see playing doctor, and it's literally a game to them. They're playing doctor and, oh, I'm gonna look at your parts, right? Because that's just what we're doing. We're at the doctor's office. Or they play midwife and there's a full-on birth scene, right? Like, so, and sometimes they're down in there. So these kinds of behaviors we expect. They're not wrong. They're not bad. The other thing too is potty talk. Like I did not know the word poop could be so hilarious until I had a 5-year-old. I was like, dude, no one wants to hear that outside. No adult wants to hear that. That's what I said. So you can do that outside or in the bathroom. And so he did, like he pooped his butt off, mouth off, I should say, like outside, right? So I say that, like, this is typical stuff. And we know that, right? We know that. So knowing that, like expecting that in terms of their sexual development, means that when you find this happening, like your kid's playing doctor, or a child I know was playing baby kittens, and then that turned into, I overheard, Milo was 5, I think, and I overheard, he's with one of his best friends, and I hear penis, vulva, and I'm like, crap, because at baby kittens we're taking a nap, and then it turned into checking out each other's parts. So this just happens like this. So we know it's healthy, we know it's typical, we know it's normal. So when we correct their behavior, it's hard to keep your poop in a group, but when you correct their behavior, you just say, hey, it's not okay or safe to play games with privates. Kids can get hurt. Remember, it's a private part of your body, very tender, very sensitive, and that's the rule. And so you just reinforce, like, it's like, yeah, I get you're curious, and it's not a safe way to play. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it's when you say it, like, it's so practical and down to earth, I love that. So can you just, like, repeat that little script again? Because I think
Yeah.
that we could all use one more
Yeah,
round of
yeah, yeah,
practice.
yeah. So there's actually a full script. So it looks like this. So here they are. They're baby kittens, and Amy overhears penis, vulva, or whatever. So I went into the bedroom, and the door was open. Children do not need privacy. Bedroom doors should always be open. And I went to the bedroom and I said, hey, I heard that you two are looking at each other's privates. Very specific. And I
Mhm.
said, it's not okay or safe to play that way. Kids can get hurt. That's the rule.
Yeah.
So let's go. I
Yeah.
don't know what I did with them. Have a snack, wash hands, something, and
Mhm.
just redirect them. So the most important things are the I statements. Hey, I see, or I heard. There's another piece where you can say, I feel uncomfortable when that happens, because it just sends a message. It's
Mhm.
not okay or safe to play this way. So let's go do something else. And just a little like gentle reminder.
Yeah, I
Gentle.
love that, and I love how, like, the first time around you said, like, these are sensitive parts and you can
Yeah,
get
yeah,
hurt. Like,
yeah.
that's just, like,
Sensitive,
so practical, like,
yeah,
yeah,
tender.
like,
Yeah,
you don't wanna hurt these
yeah.
sensitive little tender parts of your
Right.
body.
Yeah,
Um
only for you to touch. Like there's some things you can add in there, but the
Mhm.
goal here is to keep it super simple, because that's going to keep you calm. If like you go in there and you're like, I just heard you say, what's going on in here? Are you looking at
Yeah.
each other's privates? That is not okay. And it's not safe to play that way. Those are very sensitive parts of your body. Come on, let's go get a snack or wash hands, right? The kids are going to be like, crazy. What happened? She's crazy, right? And they're gonna, if they see you freaking out, they're gonna be like, oh, she's not safe to talk to. They're not safe to talk to, because they freak
Mhm.
out. And I just want to say, it is really hard to keep your poop in a group when this kind of thing happens. So I don't want to like make this sound like it's like, oh, dude, how's the penis party going? Like, it's not going to be like that. But if you're aware now that this is expected and typical, then you can have a moment where you take a breath and you're like, okay, playing doctor, now what? So in elementary, what we expect to see are some games like boyfriend, girlfriend, kissing games, maybe spin the bottle, like we're getting kind of upper elementary. Still curiosity, questions about like sex and how babies are made, and looking at like relationships, crushing. There may be some body rubbing, maybe some inspecting. So it kind of, you see how it just turned up a little bit? And this is
Rubbing
pre-P.
other people's bodies or rubbing our
Yeah,
own
like
bodies?
they might be playing like getting married, and then you kiss, and then it's the honeymoon, and you happen to have a little data about what happens on the honeymoon. So there might be some body rubbing, which can happen. It's not repeated, so it's just occasionally. Usually in both circumstances, the kids are really good friends. It's just not a random like play date and suddenly pants are down or something like that. It's usually they usually have a connection, and it's fun. And to all of these things are games to the kids. They're games. They're in that context of this is a game, right? So we're playing getting married, we're playing boyfriend, girlfriend, we're playing doctor, right? It's all a game to them. We know that it's troublesome, right? It could cause problems, but they don't think about it that way. And that's one of the ways you know that it isn't something to be, I mean, of course, we're always going to worry. It's one way to know that it's not, it's called sexualized when they play a game that's like adult like. So, so just again, kind of paying attention to that. With older kids, you can have conversations about who's crushing on who, have you ever, you can say to your kids, ever played any games with private parts? And you just be like, how's the weather? But you're saying like, ever played any games like with private parts or kissing games? You can be super cool, chill about it, and casual, and just see what they say.
And your kids will see right through you. They
well,
will
if you're
be
not
like, I
looking
see
at
you,
them,
mom.
but
Like
if
you
you're
want to
not,
do it side by side.
yeah,
Like we're
in the
going for a
car,
walk. And so
in the
that way you
car,
don't make eye contact.
back seat, they're behind you, and you can be
Okay,
like,
good.
hey, how's it going? Just wanted to find out if you've been playing kissing games. Again, don't be all formal. Just be like, I was wondering. I remember when I was a kid, I used to play boyfriend, girlfriend with my friend Ashley, and we'd pretend we're getting married, and just blah blah blah. Ever played a game like that? Just feel it out. And again, the things I'm describing are worldwide. We expect to see this because they're starting to explore more, right? Like they're seeing relationships, and so they're mimicking things that in their own playful way, like in a playing way. Now let's talk about kids in puberty. So we're looking at like 9 to 13-year-olds at this stage. So turned up interest. So now they're really getting interested in sex. They're curious about it. They're talking about it. They're hearing terms. And so they want to kind of dig in more deeply. You may overhear them talking about sexual stuff. And you just need to keep an ear out for like what they're saying. And so they may know about oral sex. They may know about anal sex. So we do see more like adult-like sexual activity, a teenager-like sexual activity. So a pair of kiddos might be dating. They might try making out a couple times. Sometimes they'll try sex, which we don't like, but usually it's not repeated. Like they don't regularly do it, or they don't regularly make out. It's usually, and if you just harken back to your days of being like in middle school or whatever, I knew someone who was having sex, and we were in the 7th grade or the 8th grade. And I was like 8th grade, and she had her boyfriend was a 10th grader. And I remember thinking that ain't right. Like she's too young. This is weird. So if you kind of think back to what the general population was doing when you were in that age group, that's pretty much what's going on now. I mean, mainly curiosity, chatter among peers, some testing the waters, a little experimentation that looks, like I said, more teenager-like, but nothing regular. And then the teenagers are easy. So like once they get to like 14, they do everything. Not every kid, but pretty much everything's on the table. So you can just assume that your child, assuming they can have human interaction, and I'll answer your question in just a sec, that they can have human interaction, you can assume that they at least know someone who's having sex or headed that way. They may be headed that way themselves.
Catch new episodes of the Mindful Mama podcast and other free resources, including the Mindful Mom Guide at mindfulmamamentor.com. You can listen to every back catalog episode, including interviews with Dr. Dan Siegel, Iyanla Vanzant, Sharon Salzberg, and get meditations, join our private Facebook group, and more. Go to mindfulmamamentor.com now. I'll see you there.